Hey, what's up, folks? It's me, Sonny T, podcast for marketers.com. And today we're going to be talking about how to pitch just a little bit. We're going to do a series of this. Before we do, go to funnelhackerpro.com, Stealthy Millionaire on Instagram, podcast for marketers on YouTube, Billionaire Vids on Snapchat, Billionaire Vid on Twitter. Head over to podcastformarketers.com for your free MP3 player, but you got to pay for your fucking shipping. And I have a kick-ass social media marketing agency course over there called the 80/80. 80% more information and way less than 80% less than I'm kicking Ty Lopez right in the britches, man. Really, I am. Smash that thumbs up and fucking subscribe to my channel if you dig the content. I'm doing videos every day. Boom. All right, man. So today, man, I kind of wanted to talk about the pitch. All right. Somebody in the group, and this is Mailbag Monday yet, right? So Mailbag Monday, I'm going to talk about this a lot more. But today I wanted to talk about your pitch. If you're going to start a social media marketing agency, sales, right? You got to have sales, and you have to be doing it all the time, right? It's just what it is. You will always need more clients, right? Because people are going to be unhappy, especially now. So people are going to be unhappy. They're going to leave. Some people are not going to believe in you. Some people are not going to be patient enough. It's just how it is, okay? So you're going to always have to be pitching. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, right? So Grant Cardone is out here, and we got all these rules and regulations, right? And I kind of want you to throw those rules out, right? And I've said this before in another video that you need to be having a conversation. And I know that it might be uncomfortable, but one of the biggest things that I can tell you to be awesome is that you need to be you, okay? Not me, right? And I noticed that this has happened. There's a lot of, Sonny T's out there. Spell your own fucking name right. There's a lot of Sonny T's out there. Are there a lot of, Cry Lopez's out there, or even Grant Cardone's or whatever? People have, they idolize you, or they look up to you, and that's cool. But you can't be us. You can't be me. You can't be Grant Cardone. You can't be Tyler. You can't be anybody. You have to be yourself. And so once you learn to embrace that, right? Embrace yourself. This is when you're going to start winning. I promise you this, right? And so now you're like, well, Sonny, how do I do that? Well, the best advice that I can give you is, when you're pitching, talk, all right? And stop thinking that you need to sound so professional. If you don't normally wear a suit, then don't fucking wear one, man. Throw on a pair of, I don't know what they got, whatever penny loafers are now, right? Throw on a pair of penny loafers, a clean pair of jeans, and a polo shirt. Show up professional with a nice haircut, but be you and talk instead of pitching. One of the best things that you could do when you get to your first client, this is how I want you to pitch your first client, right? Honesty goes a long way, okay? And I want you to sit down and tell them, man, I'm nervous as hell. Right? I'm nervous as hell. And ask them, are you sure, do you bite? And that's going to loosen the room up, right? That's the first thing. You can say what you don't have to say this exactly, okay? But just letting them know and say that you're nervous as hell. And you say, hey, man, I've done this, for myself. and I've done this for family and friends, but you're going to be my first. Now you hear this. You are going to be my first client, right? You are going to be my first real client. I'm nervous and excited. Sit down and say that, right? And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, hey, man, there's no reason to be nervous, man. I don't bite. Or, hey, this is going to be a really cool relationship. Just show me what you got and, just be yourself. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to be something that you're not. If you're some analytical nerd, then be that analytical nerd, okay? If that's you. And if you are an analytical nerd, right, I want you to amplify that times 100%. In other words, I want you to be a stronger you, right? Just really you know what it is that this is you, this 100% times geek here, this 100% times geek, if this is really you, right? This is you when you're all alone by yourself. This is how you would be every day. But you tone down your geekiness because you think people won't like you, right? Or you think that you might, it might be off-putting, or maybe you're just smarter than everybody else, right? And it's like, well, fuck, I don't want to just, be rude or whatever. Well, turn that shit up, man, and be 100% yourself. Now, if you're like me, I'm the opposite of geek. Now, I geek out and I've got my own spreadsheets or whatever, but I'm more of a loose person. I'm more relaxed, right? So if I'm pitching you, I sound exactly like I sound right now, right? Now, of course, I curse a lot, right? That's just my thing. Now, I know how to do a clean pitch, right? But still, get across that I am who I am. So if I was pitching, I don't know, if you try to just be respectful, if you're pitching, I don't know, a minister or something, maybe he's trying to do a marketing for his raffle or something. You just don't really want to cuss in front of him, right? But I still do, though, because that's just who I am. And ministers have heard curse words before. So it's better to be who you are. You might not want to just go crazy with it, right? Not being disrespectful. But, if it is who you are, then that's it, right? So, I go in there when I'm pitching, right? I learned this a long time ago, so if I sit down, to give you an example, let's say if I'm going to sit down in front of a preacher, right? And this is my first pitch to a preacher. I would tell him that. Well, shit, this is the first. And I would say exactly, well, this is the first. I'm sitting down with a preacher, Hey, man, if the church comes burning down, dude, just know that I didn't mean it, right? Anything like that, man. I'm sitting down. It's getting a little warm in here, getting a little warm. Anything. I would probably say that because I know that I'm not some, Christian dude, right? And I would even say, hey, man, I'm not really a religious person now. Is that going to be putting you off? Because, now I'm a hell of a marketer, man, but, I'm not going to church every Sunday. That's how I would start that conversation. I'll be honest with you. I would start it off with that obvious Sunday question, right? And then he probably, more than likely, would go into religion mode and ask me why. Why aren't you religious? Why don't you go to church, right? I'm going to make him comfortable. I'm going to shift the conversation where I know he wants to talk and I know he wants to preach and he wants to try to save my soul, and he's probably going to be trying to get a discount. So he's going to be like, well, if I save his soul, it'll probably go cheaper on me on the contract. That's where his head is, right? But I'm going to go right there where I know he's comfortable and he wants to talk about, okay? He wants to preach to you some kind of way. He wants to minister to you, right? So and he's going to say, well, why don't you go to church? I don't know, man. And I would be honest. My mom made me go to church when I was younger. I can't stand it. Excuse me. I don't like waking up early on Sundays. And he's gonna, and then he's gonna tell you, say, well, man, shit, that's no excuse. Well, you know what, man? Maybe when we finish, when we in the middle of this contract, maybe I'll come down and sit in and kind of get a good look at what, at the raffle or at the bake sale or whatever. You know what? I'm going to come to Bible study a couple times and just to try to get a good feel of what's going on here. That would be good. So now what did you do? You got him comfortable, right? You're nervous. You're being yourself, right? And now you're on common ground, but you also future casting him again. I know we're going to do business, so maybe I'll do this. You're always closing the deal, man. Always closing the deal, but you did it naturally. You didn't do it on some I can do X minus Z and we can get conversions, blah, blah, blah. Right? And so now, here's another problem I'm seeing amongst everybody that's out here when they're pitching their social media marketing agencies is they're automatically pitching social media, right? When you shouldn't go in with that. After you do your pleasantries in the beginning of the pitch right here, okay, and you embrace yourself, the first thing I want you to do is ask a series of questions, okay? This is the most important part of your pitch. So you're going to ask them, what's wrong in your opinion? Most people don't know what's wrong. So this is why you put in your opinion here, right? Especially if you're new to the business. He's going to give you a really good insight of what's wrong. Well, I run these raffles and nobody seems to show up. Nobody seems to care, and I don't know why people aren't showing up, right? Okay, so why do you think people aren't showing up? Well, I think it's because you take that note down, right? And then you start to find out, I think it's because of this, right? What have you tried? And just ask the question and be quiet. When they say, I think it's because of this, don't offer an answer. Just write down your notes, and then say, well, what have you tried? Well, we tried Twitter and we tried this. We had, we have a website up, but we can't get anybody to come to the website, and they're going to give you some answers, right? And what I want you to do is have a conversation with them. What are the ages and the common ages? And, do you see people when you're, in the sermon, do you see people on their cell phones? Yeah. Yeah, I see people all the time on their cell phones. Yeah, they're right there in the church, on their cell phones. Oh, okay, then. What's the average age? Are the young people, are they really, active? Are the older people active? Are the older people on your, on your email list? And, find out all the information you can typically find out. And they want to talk about their business. Instead of going in there and telling them that you can fix their problem with Instagram, right? Which may not be the truth. Go in there and ask a bunch of questions first. Once they give you the questions, and you remember the other day, I told you, then you load up your barrel, right? And you go in with everything you got, right? You don't leave anything out, but then you load it up. You load up your shotgun then, right? And you remember we talked about all of those questions that you normally get asked, right? Well, you're going to answer all of those normal questions, your normal pitch that you lined up, right? But then at the end of the pitch, you would have had enough time to think about, you got to be quick on your feet. You would have had enough time to think about answers for everything that he thought was wrong, right? And why he thought it went wrong, right? And, using that with the age and demographics that you have, come up with your a plan, right? And you have to be quick on your feet. And more than likely, you've already done your homework and you've already had that plan, but you're able to include what he said in your plan now because you asked that question and now you have a direct answer to answer that question. Even though it might have already been in your pitch, now you can include his answers. Let me explain something to you really quickly. Even though someone is hiring you to be their, fiduciary, someone is hiring you to become to take over their social media marketing. Everybody still wants to be involved. And if you don't let them get involved, they won't feel like they've made any decisions. You definitely want them to feel as if they are the decision makers. You want to make it feel like a lot of shit is their idea. Okay? If you can learn how to talk to someone and then eventually you're going to try to push them into a little corner here. I'm getting really kind of technical, not technical, but kind of advanced. But you kind of shove them into this corner to where they're gonna kind of find out that, this is what I need to do, right? And they're gonna think that it was their big idea, right? That's a light bulb, right? They're gonna think, oh man, this was my big idea. I came up with this idea, right? But it was you all along. But if you don't include them in the decision making, you run the risk of making them feel stupid and making you think that you are superior to them, and you don't want them to feel that way, right? You want to come to reach an agreement together, right? So that's the reasons for all your questions that you asked in the beginning. Now, I can't give you everything right now, okay? It's impossible. I'd have to be here all day doing this, right? So I'm going to start doing a series. I notice you guys are having a problem with your pitch, but this is kind of the beginnings of what you should be doing with your pitch. I respect Grant Cardone and Zig Ziglar and, man, all the greats out there. I respect all those guys and the sales dudes. But I'm telling you how I approach things, and I'm very successful with what I do. You need to loosen up, relax, be yourself times 100. Act like it's just you talking to your mom or your brother or your sister. You're 100% because they grew up with you and they know who you are, right? So you're just 100%. You can't hide. If your mom saw you being fake, she would look and be like, "Why did you do that?" She would ask you, right? So be yourself 100%. And the main thing is to ask questions and if you really want to know how something works, man, I'll never forget, I've been around quite a few, celebrities in my time and directors. And I've shot a couple of movies myself, little amateur films and things like that. So I kind of know about the lingo. And I was talking to a couple of director friends of mine that have done some bigger things. And I remember mentioning the word dailies. That's rushes for people that are in England. And I remember their faces lighting up like, "Oh man, you know what dailies are?" Right? I'm like, "Yeah." They really got sparked that I knew their own language, right? So it's really important that you ask them about what's going on. You really need to ask them what's unique about them. What makes them unique, okay? What's the procedure? What's the process? So let's say, for instance, you're going to a hair salon, right? And they say, "Well, what's the process?" You ask them, what makes your hair salon different? Well, all the people that we train here, they got to go through a 12-week rigorous training process, and they have to learn how to use this special machine that makes the dye right here on the spot. It's impossible to burn the hair. And then if they say some shit that you're like, "Well, what the fuck is that?" Ask them, what does that mean? They'll get excited. Get them comfortable. Make them feel like you are really interested, and you have to show true interest, right? That's why you need to get into a niche that you're interested in, right? But if you show that you're really interested, okay? If you show that true interest and ask them questions and stop pitching so much and really trying to find out how their shit works, right? How shit works. If you really try to figure out how shit works and you're really interested in what they're doing, you don't have to pitch very much. They're going to try to figure out a way to do business with you. They want it to work at this point because they see that you're interested in their process. If you go in there and you're just pitching them and you haven't asked them anything about their process, you haven't asked them anything about what makes them special or unique, they know that. And they're like, well, nah, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. Right? You'll get that. I don't think this is going to work. And it's because they don't feel cool with you. But at the moment that you go in there and, you're asking about their kids and you're asking about who works here, is this a family-owned business? Let's say if it was a winery, well, I know you can't give me your secret sauce, but, how actually does this whole fermentation process happen? Do you guys use stainless steel vats or do you guys use those real oak woods or what? Do you get your barrels made? How long do you keep those barrels? And they'll explain everything because it's their business. Get into the entire process, right? When you do that in the middle of your sales pitch, that's why, one dude was like, he pitched, 1,100 people a week or 1,100 people in one day or some crazy number. I'm like, man, that's bullshit. A pitch should really take you a couple hours. It should run over. You should schedule a 45-minute pitch, but it should run over. It should go an hour and a half. It should, and both of you should be enjoying the pitch and enjoying the whole process. And at the end of the day, you're going to sign a contract because they're going to be really interested to work with you and they're going to be really interested to hear your ideas. Okay. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I may do another one of these on Sunday for you. I don't know. I know I'm going fishing tomorrow. Coffee break.